Hello and welcome to Leagues Ahead, the official vodcast of the Arena Gauntlet League tournament offerings that haven't yet dropped. So here's where we preview the tournament rules and mechanics for the tournament that you might be about to play. If not, we encourage you to join the AGL's Discord via the website and see what we're talking about. I'm Christopher York, I'm your host and the founder of the Arena Gauntlet League, also current tournament organizer. And on the podcast today, I have from the league committee the head design on our Dragonstorm, our Tarkir Dragonstorm tournament offering, Lotte. Welcome, Lotte.
Yes, hello. Thanks for having me. Very excited for this one. We have a ton of discussion about this design, so there's lots to get into.
Yeah, this was a pretty divisive design, I'm going to say. People in their camps fighting for the mechanics that they love and against the mechanics they hate. And to me, that just shows that this is, a passionate group of people who are involved in league design and league maintenance and management. The fact that you can get so emotionally invested in a Magic tournament these days, I think, is it's all upside, and hopefully we'll show you in the mechanics that we reveal today that all that backroom haggling was worth it. First of all, we should mention that Tarkir Dragonstorm is a faction league. Lotta, for those who aren't initiated, what is a faction league?
Yeah, good question. That's actually a question we also spent a ton of time discussing. But at the base, a faction league involves everyone getting sorted into a faction. So we have the 5 clans of Tarkir: Mardu, Absent, Jeskai, Temur, and Sultai. Everyone will get sorted into them according to some obscure algorithm. And every week, each clan or each group, but in this case each clan, gets some points based on how many wins they have. And then at the end of the league, or actually at the end of week 5, almost at the end of the league, the top 3 clans all get a bonus. And they get some amount of money from the prize pool, depending on whether they get finished first, second, or first. And when I say the top 3 clans, I mean that every player who played, well, or at least every player who played at least 10 matches, even if you went 0-10, 0-11, gets that reward. So it's really a team effort. Like 60% of the prize pool for this league is not for individual players, but for the clans.
Yeah, so that's important because I think before, when only one faction got rewarded, the race was kind of over, and then the other factions were kind of left saying, well, why are we still playing as hard as we can, given that we're not going to make it? So this time we tried to include all the way down to the top 50%, which we do for our players. So why wouldn't we do it for our factions as well? So as Lotta was saying, first place gets 30% of the total prize pool, which is, in other words, you can think about it, if the current entry price is $10, everyone gets 15, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Second place
Yeah, everyone gets 15.
gets 15.
A little bit more, probably,
Maybe
due to some
maybe a little bit
technical
more, yeah. Depending on the number of entrants. And second place, 20% of the prize pool. Your feedback plus a little more, I think. And then third place, 10% of the total prize pool. So probably a partial league entry return on that. So even if
Yeah,
you're as
half
low down
entry,
as even if you're as low down as the 4th clan, you still have reason to fight to get that prizing.
yeah.
So that's a lot. That's a lot to say already. That means that only 40% of the prize pool is reserved for the top performers, so the top 16 or the top 32. Again, depending on final registration numbers. Right now, I think we're sitting at around 60 players who have registered, 60 plus. It's likely that since we have more than a week of registration left, we'll likely double that, possibly more, depending on how those Reddit posts blow up. All right, so we've talked about why clans are important, and we've talked about how we might get into them via this mysterious algorithm. Let me ask you a design question, which
All
I
right.
think we talked about a little bit. There were 2 ways to go with regard to clan affiliation, right? So just a year ago, I think, or less than a year ago, we had the Kanza Tarkir League, right? wherein we played that old set and we were given faction affiliations then. So we could have just dumped those completely and then used the algorithm to reassign new faction affiliations at the beginning of Dragonstorm. We didn't do that. Instead, we retained all of the old faction assignments that we could have, and then laid the algorithm on top of that, with a couple of exceptions. I think we wanted one LC member in each faction to make sure that rules violations weren't cropping up, or that people knew what to do as well, in case the mechanics were confusing. So tell me, Lotta, why did we go down the path of retaining the old clan affiliations instead of just paving over those?
Yeah, well, it's a very simple answer. We just thought it was fun. Or at least we actually had some discussion about it. But some people, like me personally, I don't care too much. And I was actually one of the LC members who moved from one clan Sultai to another, Epsan. But other people were like, oh, but I really have fond memories of like my clan affiliation. I like the continuity between that. So if half the people think it's fine either way, and half the people prefer it with everyone staying. Well, it's a great case for having everyone staying in their clans.
Really hoping for some tight balance, hoping this algorithm of yours does the trick. So can you tell us, just a very, very brief peek under the hood, without the mathematics, but what's the main heuristic or method by which people are sorted in the algorithm?
Yeah. So one of the things that we had was that for the previous algorithm that we used, some people were unhappy with it. So I spent like a whole weekend doing. I'm a statistician in real life, for those who don't know. So I spent the whole week developing as much statistically sound algorithm as I could, and I think I got like further than I expected. So what happens under the hood is that a ton of leaks are simulated for every player. There's for players who were new. There's a lot of uncertainty in how good they are. For players who have played a ton of leaks before, there's less uncertainty. And then for each player, we simulate. I simulate, I believe, 100 leaks in some way that's nice and dandy, and look at their total wins minus their total losses. And that gives an expected value of a certain player. So, for example, if the algorithm thinks you're a very good player, then and you on average you'll go 15 and 11, then you will get an expected value of 4. I believe new players all have an expected value, at least on the Ahrefs data, of minus 0.83. And on average, each clan should have an expected value of 0. So that the sum of all their players, their good and their bad, is that you would like generally expect them to be about equal, to not have one clan be stronger than the others on paper. So it's really about the performance in the league itself. Anyone interested in the nasty maths, hit me up.
Okay, so given that new players, they're basically wild cards. How do we settle at the 0.83 value as opposed to the just ranking them as one?
Yeah, well, that's because in general, the new players, basically the players who are better at Magic, on average tend to stay a little more often.
Right.
So there is some selection bias. People will like go in to an 11 in their first league, often flame out. Not always. Like I think I got like 5 wins in my first league, and I'm still around, so I'm happy with that. So that's why, in general, the newer players are in general on average, a little worse than the established players. But again, the range is so much higher than the difference in averages, right? It's like less than 1 win.
Right. Okay, so that brings me on to the next topic, and this is we got a lot to talk about today. So I'm sorry if you feel like I'm just running you down the rules really quickly, but there's a lot going on in this league. So I'm going to try to cover the most I can in the time we have. Now, let's say that we are in our clans now, and we are playing towards those faction rewards, which are, like we said, 60% of the prize pot. how do we get points, or how do we help our clans ascend to a dominant position? Like, what mechanics feed into creating those points, which aggregate into a clan win?
Yeah. So there are basically two main things, and the big one is just playing your matches
Right.
and winning them. 85 of the points are for people for whichever clan each week get the most points or get the most wins. Whoever has clan has the highest win rate. So, for example, in week one, the best performing clan will get 125 points. The second best performing clan will get 100. Down to the fifth clan will get just 25 points. That's a 100-point gap between the top spot and the number 5 spot. And those points like slightly increase as the league goes on to like get some more excitement in, some more possible comebacks. And I believe in total there are 3,000 points that are available over the whole league. And the vast majority of them, like 85%, are based on whichever clan performs the best in each week. One caveat I should mention is that the details for this are on the rules, but basically we put some weird rules, some like corner cases in there to prevent people from gaming it too much. So the first reaction to this, oh, you have to do the best in a certain week, is, oh, then we should hold matches, we should underplay. That's not something we want to encourage, so we have something in the rules that punishes you for trying to do any funny business, basically. The best way to go about this, to get to those 85% points, is just try to make sure you win matches, try to do gameplay reviews in the clan, try to help each other with deck builds, and support your clanmates.
But isn't it the case that, like, underplaying in 1 week to get that clan ascendancy bonus, wouldn't that disadvantage that clan going into the next week of play because they don't have the same total of punishment packs or wins that they should if they just played their matches out? Like, is that strategy really something that would work out in the end? Or to me it seems like you got to play your matches out. You got to do it. Yeah. That's the best strategy.
For sure. Well, we were worried about it at least. I know Adam, who loves the scheming about this part, was really planning on like going down this road with a Sultai.
Right.
So what we put in is that if you defer a match, if you underplay, it just counts as half a loss, basically. So there's really actually the opposite. Really, you're encouraged to have everyone in your clan play as much matches as possible.
I think that's healthy. I think that's probably good design. You don't want to have perverse design where you're rewarded for not playing out games of Magic, right? So I think that's probably a good catch and well explained. Can you also explain to us why? I mean, I know that you're sort of raising the tension as the league goes on, so increasing the number of possible points to win as weeks carry on that's obvious. Why, for example, are week 4 and week 5 points the same, and then there's no points for week 6? Can you explain that a little bit to people who might have that question?
Yeah, very good question, because it's a little unintuitive, actually. So the idea is that if you look at the total matches played during a league, then every week, week 1 always has the most matches. Week 2, almost as many matches as week 1. Week 3, almost as many matches as week 2. And week 4, well, still a ton of matches. We're still at 80-90% of the matches in week 1. But then from week 4 to week 5, a ton of people get eliminated. So the total amount of matches takes a big nosedive.
Right. Week 4 is kind of like the end of the wedge, and then in week 5 you really start to see people dropping off.
Yeah. So if you despite that week 4 and week 5 have the same amount of points, the matches in week 5 are so much more important because there are much less of them, and they still give you the same total amount of points. And then for week 6, in a normal league, I believe maybe 1 in 70 matches is played in week 6. A really tiny amount if you compare it to the overall thing. And we just thought it was a little unfair to give a ton of points based on the performance of possibly 1 or 2 players per clan. We didn't feel like that was fair.
Okay, so here's another sort of new player question that might crop up. What if somebody in my clan either doesn't show up to play their matches or just completely tanks out and doesn't win any? What happens to their points, or do they really drag the clan's average down, or are we doing something like previous leagues and dropping the lowest 10% or 20% of performers?
Yeah. So I believe, let's look at what we had exactly, but I believe we kept the amount of. Well, we look at win rate first of all. So we look at total uh, um, total games played minus divided by the total matches played.
Okay.
So if a player doesn't play at all, if they just like totally don't care about the league, like but play nothing, then well they won't get any wins, and well they won't. I want to say they won't get they don't have any matches either, but that's not really true because there are just like the things I just talked about the deferred matches, like if you underplay. But I believe we kept that at some level, so you won't get punished. You will get punished a little, like it will count as a couple losses, like if someone doesn't show up, but won't count as the full 11 losses
Okay.
that
Well, that's good
that
to know.
might
That'll
offer.
probably relieve some people because when you play on a team or you play with a partner, in the case of two-headed giant, or in this case a faction which could be up to 30 players, right? You want to know that your teammates are invested, and you want to have some insurance in the possibility of them dropping out or bombing out. So I think this will probably relieve some people. All right. So what is a clan without a con? Can you tell us a little bit about what cons are and what they do in this tournament? Because we've had some faction leagues in the
Yeah,
past with some very different roles for leaders and expectations for what they have to do. Can you run us through what cons are doing this time around?
yeah. So right now we have like a little bit more of a mixed role, where the con is um, on the one hand, it's a community organizer basically. It's someone who is nominated by their clan, by the people who are still in their clan from Cards League, to start leading the clan at the start of the league. So for the Absen, we chose Miranda as our clan, and I believe the Mardu chose the Pride of Mardu, John Goku or Home.
So pretty strong community leaders so far have just kind of risen to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their jobs there, because for the KNet game, that we'll get onto in a little bit, but for the KNet games is where you can earn the other 15% of points. They are basically responsible for that things go decently smoothly, so that people get the put into the event, etc. So they have a community role there, but they also have a magic, a fighting leadership role. So at the end of each week, the top performing member of each clan may challenge the clan. So let's say that I go 5-0 week 1, I can challenge Miranda for a clan match and say like an exhibition match, so it won't count for the standings.
Right.
It is with our league tags, but it's just to prove our words. Maybe we do a stipulation or whatever, and try and get and if I win, I become the new con for the week after. And the last player at the end of week 5, so after four con matches, gets additional $10 in bonus pricing. So there's also like there's some glory to be had and a little bit of riches.
Right. So there's some motivations for the con to do the best they can to get their clan performing and to hold on to that role until the very end. I can already see this kind of shaping up interestingly. So if there's no challenge from the best performer or the next best performer, in the case that the con is the best performer, then the title goes unchallenged, right?
That's correct.
So you could
And
possibly politic your way out of your challenges and just hold on to dominance until the very end if you're good at politicking. So if you can somehow talk your clanmates out of challenging you, if you stay on good terms with the next in line, you might see some people just kind of hanging on from politicking, which is interesting to me. I like that. And if they're so popular that nobody wants to challenge them, then so be it. I think that's one way to becoming Khan that's kind of interesting.
Soft power and hard power are both possibilities here.
Yeah, and of course, when we were designing this, we talked a little bit about mechanics where the Khan would sort of play Santa Claus and give out bonuses to their clanmates, but in the end, we scrapped that because we already had a lot going on, and it seemed like the possibility for feel bads and sort of politicking in a bad way might take hold. So we shelved that, what we called what did we call it? The spoils of war mechanic until until some future time. So that's one of the ideas that got left on the cutting room floor for those who are interested in such things. So there's a series of I won't quite call them side events or side quests because they do tie into league points. These are called the Can8 games, and they bear the name of the cons that basically organize them. And in these Can8 games, which stand for 15% of the faction points, what kind of events do we have lined up? There's a lot of speculation about this since they aren't laid out exhaustively in the rules. Can you just give us a hint or a flavor as to what these might look like?
So there's 5 events, one for each of the first 5 weeks of the league. Week 1, we have team drafts. So that are, in principle, 3v3 drafts, where each clan will play 2 other clans in a team draft, and the winner gets to take the points home. Then week 2, completely different. We're getting riddles. Waymay Master Narset, the Jeskai, has made time to be an impartial judge in the K-Net games, with like a sphinx-like figure, and give out riddles to the different clans. You can expect those riddles to be quite hard because you'll have 25 other people to solve them with. Then for week 3, we're doing Elder, Dragonstorm, Highlander, Brawl. So that's going to be a blast. Johnny has been testing out rules for that. For week 4, we'll have Trivia Extravaganza hosted by our very own Pride of Mardu, Goku or Go Home, which I should also mention real quickly. Like the inspiration, the basis behind the idea for the K-Net games or the K-Net games came from John, so credits to him. And we're ending with a draft of a different set, Tarkir Reforged, which we haven't talked about yet.
We'll definitely get there. We'll definitely get there.
Yeah.
But before we go there,
the last side event,
sorry, go on.
So the last side event is Tarkir Reforged draft. That might be the team draft, might also be a normal 8-person draft. We'll communicate that later.
Okay. Well, first of all, props to the committee adjunct members, Johnny, who's a former LC, and John, P, who's contributing from outside the committee to make these events happen, to make them interesting and fun. Always good to see people stepping up and helping out in that way. So thanks to them. With regard to the trivia challenges, I'm guessing that the league committee and tournament organizer are not allowed to participate in these things. Since we're making them and we see them ahead of time, our hands are tied, right, as regards to helping out our clanmates, obviously.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're having a very strict rule about that. We don't release, what my personal rule herein is don't communicate anything to anyone that's not in the Discord for everyone to see.
Right. Okay, so this gets us into the topic that you foreshadowed. All right, now it's a sort of perpetual topic on this channel, right? What is the role of the comeback pack in making for a good league? I've railed against mono set leagues. For example, Khans of Tarkir League was famously, I mean, the factions were popular as a mechanic, but the gameplay itself was kind of a bore because the set was underpowered and we didn't really have anywhere to go, right? There were no other pack options for people. So a lot of people felt that they were forced into grindy, repetitive, and low powered gameplay actions. So this time, what have we done to spice things up? What's the percentage of offset comeback packs versus main set comeback packs, and what are they?
Yeah, so for everyone, we'll have, and we'll talk in a little bit, we'll talk about how you can select packs, but everyone will enter league with um, 6 packs from their starting pool, which are all Tarkir Dragonstorm, and then 10 comeback packs, 5 Tarkir Dragonstorm, and 5 Tarkir Reforged. And Tarkir Reforged it's a custom set. I think it's about like 50% the best of Cant of Tarkir. Then 10 or 20% it's the cards from Faithful Forts and Dragons that are on Arena. And the remaining things are just like cards from all over that work with Dragons of Tarkir, that work with Tarkir Dragonstorm mechanically. So we have things that work with tokens for Mobilize. We have a little bit in combination with Cons, a little bit of a face down package in there with cards from Cons, MKM, and Duskmorn. Jordan did most of the work for this, and Jack also helped a ton about this, and I did like some minor contributions to that. I will say for those to just like expectation setting, when Jordan pitched this idea, I was not convinced it was going to happen and be a good idea. But he just kept working at it, and at a certain point, he just like started rolling packs in the Discord, in the bot bunker, which is a secret channel that you all don't have access to. And they just looked like normal packs for power level and synergy wise from a set that we have nowadays, and they work especially well together with Tarkir Dragonstorm. So I think done a great job for that. You may have also seen a couple preview cards around the server, which was a very fun idea by Jordan to send those out.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I liked revealing our new partner store, Riftgate Games, with my dragon, and I especially enjoyed Spaghetti Mitch's video.
Me too.
I lulled at that. I think he was. I guess he was doing a parody or a satire, sending up typical Magic streamer responses to preview cards, and he did a fantastic job at surprising me and making me laugh. It really should be there in the content channel, but you can still find it in general chat, I think, by looking back. So that was a fun thing that we did. I mean, it has nothing to do with mechanics, but in terms of like how we present our tournament offerings before the fact, I thought that was great. Now, there are some hard-hitting questions I'm going to ask you, not just self-congratulatory stuff. Now, there's been something that we've perennially come up against called the curation problem. Here's the curation problem for those that don't know. When the league committee gets together to make a set or a bonus sheet or what have you, obviously we have very limited time and resources as volunteers in making these sets or these cubes or these sheets. And some people say, well, you don't know as well as WotC. WotC puts way much more time and money, and they have much more expertise in this. Let WotC make the packs. You design the tournament, but use their packs. Given that, there was a little bit of a blowback against the bonus sheet mechanic in Ether Drift. How did that play into, or maybe work against, or maybe how do we fix the criticisms of the bonus sheet in Ether Drift to come up with the Tarkir Reforged packs for the Dragonstorm?
Yeah. Good question. We were already, or Jordan was already working on Tarkir Reforged when this whole conversation was happening, and in general, the thing we took from Aether Drift is that people just felt like the league was too high powered. We had 14 combat packs, so you ended up with 20 packs, and then you also had a bonus sheet card from every set, and those, like, it was very clear when you were losing to a bonus sheet card because there was not one from one of the main sets.
Right, it stood out like a sore thumb, right? If you're getting killed by Ronus, you're like, what the hell is Ronus doing in here, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so that's one thing. One thing way that this is um, sort of fixed or changed with Tarkir Reforged is that these are not additional packs. These are just in place of another combat pack. So just getting 10 packs, so that lowers down the power level a little bit.
right,
We also decided, based on this, to move away um, from set boosters and go to draft boosters. So that's basically have more commons in the Tarkir Reforged packs and a little less rares and uncommons. So that lowers down the power level also a little bit.
yeah,
In general, yeah, I think it's like I think no Watsi has more time, but Watsi doesn't design for our format.
that's true.
And the options we have is we can run a monoset league, which is well, that has all the disadvantages that you've talked about many times. We could put in custom sets wholesale, and for this league especially, we wanted to get some Cons of Tarkir in, but Cons of Tarkir is just not working with, just doesn't work with the modern power level sets, and it's also, well, it has its own synergies that the ton of cards just would be total death in Tarkir Dragonstorm League. So we ended up with the third option, which was sort of take the good health from Cons of Tarkir and replace the bad half with other things that we think work well. So yeah, but still, I mean, it's still a creation thing. So there's always something to be said there. And one thing that I also think is, it's like acutely clear when you lose to a creation card. It's like acutely clear, like where that card came from, and that's not necessarily the case from a card that you just get in a normal pack. Then you can point at Jordan and say, like, why did you put
Yeah,
Hugin in here?
yeah. So I mean, I guess I'm reading some things like the Tarkir Reforged set was more or less intentionally powered down to below the Dragonstorm set, so it won't overshadow it, right? I think that sounds like a design desideratum that Jordan went for. And on top of that, I mean, let me ask you another question on this topic. Have we ever done this before? I don't think we ever have created an entire set, unless you count a mini league, right? I think we had a three-week league for Ixalan Remastered. That might have been the only other time I think that we've used a cube to create an entire set. And I don't think we've ever done it during one of the campaign length 6-week leagues before. Is that, I think
So. No.
So this is new. This is new territory. Let's try it out. Let's see what happens, right? I mean, it's one thing to have a bonus sheet where you got one card kind of sticking out like a sore thumb, but here, I mean, the cards are part of more robust packs, and everybody has an equal chance to get those packs. They're not reliant on which part of the track you're on to get those cards, which some people might feel like, well, I wanted access to those cards, but I never got to Muraganda or whatever, right? So in a way, this is a bit more neutral. And as I understand it, the choice of packs rotates between one loss and the next loss. Is that true?
Yeah. So how it works is we're doing a little timeline thingy, a little, yeah, go one way or another. What happens is that at your first loss, you will get an option. You can either pick your Tarkir Dragonstorm pack, and you will see what pack it is, and you will pick, or you can pick a Tarkir Reforged pack. And now, if you choose a Dragonstorm pack, All right. Then you go to your second loss. But on your second loss, you can choose between two Tarkir Reforged packs. So you will get the option of two packs from the set that you did not choose earlier. And one of those packs will be the pack that you saw. So on the first lot, if you see two packs generate and you're like, ooh, both of these are good for my deck, then you can take one for your first loss, and at your next loss, take the other. Um, and then once you get to your first loss, it just starts from a new. So you'll again get to choose between one Tarkir Dragonstorm and one Tarkir Reforged pack. Um, so that will
Okay.
not totally alternate, but after two leagues, after two losses, you will have one pack of each. After four losses, you will have two packs of each, etc.
So the number of offset cards being introduced into the pool are roughly one third, right? So you have 11 out
Yeah,
of
five.
16 packs coming out of the main set, and 5 out of 16 packs coming from Tarkir Reforged. So there's a pretty significant number of cards that are being introduced into the set that are offset, but they're being introduced in a way, in a targeted way. Like whereas before, if you get an offset comeback pack, you're just lucky if it happens to synergize with the main set. Here, the Tarkir Remastered, as I understand it, they're kind of like a pack full of silver bullets, which are intended to combo well with the main set. So this is new design space. I'm kind of excited to see how it turns out, to see if we've solved the curation problem, and yeah, I'll be very interested to see player reactions to this mechanic of us
Yeah, me too.
alternating
Yeah.
between main set and comeback packs that we ourselves have designed. All right, Lotta, that was a whirlwind run through the rules. Is there anything I've missed out? Is there anything you wanted to add that we haven't covered yet?
There's one rule that we didn't talk about.
Oh,
Because you said a couple of times like, oh, the top placing clan will get 30% of the total prize pool, but they also get
oh,
something else.
right. Yes. What are they? I feel like I'm on a game show. Tell them what they get, Lotta.
They get their own special Mega Draft. The Mega Draft is for we haven't said that yet, but the Mega Draft is just alternating packs of Tarkir Dragonstorm and Tarkir Reforged.
Right.
The top 8 players, as always, will go to the Mega Draft. But for the winning clan, like let's say Alpsong, which I think is quite likely, the top 8 players from that clan who did not qualify for the top 8, so from 9 and below, they get to hold their own Mega Draft. It's a single elimination Mega Draft. No going 1 and 2 there. And there's only one prize, but it's a very coveted and special one that we have never given out in this such a way before. It's a pot on the Player of the Year tournament that will be held at the end of the summer. So that's certainly a unique, nice little victory fight that the winning clan can have between themselves.
Yeah, that's a huge perk, right? That's a very nice. That's a very nice prize, and I think that people will be pretty heavily incentivized to compete in order to have their clan be eligible for this extra Player of the Year spot, and to have somebody represent your clan at the event will be a pretty special. And this doesn't hurt anybody else's chance at arriving at Player of the Year, because you might have some clan mates that are already in the top 8. They'll have their own separate shot at succeeding. So you might have multiple clanmates in the Player of the Year tournament for 2025. Very possible.
Yeah, you could have three people from your clan qualify
Oh
for Bounty
yeah,
Possible
the pennant winner,
if you.
the mega draft winner, and the league winner. Sorry, the overall.
Clan winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Huh. Wow. Could be stacked. That's very interesting. I'm looking forward to this league. I always like faction leagues. I like all the scheming and the shit talking and shit posting. I like the spirit of camaraderie that happens to sort of usually emerge between clanmates, and it's just a very vibrant time of year. Roughly, we get these once a year. So it's a good time of year for new players to sort of be mentored by their clanmates in the ways of League. It's a chance for older players to sort of renew their ties and acquaintances on the server, and the sort of chance to shine in a team environment is a very different feeling than a chance to shine in individual tournaments. So I think it's going to scratch an itch for a certain kind of player that isn't scratched in our other offerings. So for me personally,
So,
I'm into the social dimension. I like points of engagement between players and players and mechanics. For me, this works. Lotta, do you have any feelings going into this?
yeah, well, one thing I'm very interested about is that we talked a lot about like what should a clan league be? Should it be um, mostly individual leagues and having individuals who support each other and then divide the best performing group of individuals get something, or should the league more be about your clan strategy and should the individual record matter less? So we ended up ending up somewhere in the middle, but like a little bit more towards the first part. Like it's mostly still about like how everyone is doing, like your own match that you play. That's still the most important thing, and then the K-Night games. That's like the one thing that's the you can like strategize about with your clanmates, and besides helping each other's decks and gameplay get better. Um, but some people, Adam especially in the league committee, for example, really like something more extreme, like where you're like totally strategizing and your individual record is much more subsumed towards, if that's correct English, much less important than the total strategy. So we didn't end up going with that, but I am very curious. Like when you're playing this league, like keep in mind, like ask yourself maybe once or twice, like would I like that? Would I prefer it, like if the league was all about scheming and strategizing together there with my team? And if so, then we might do that for another time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that raises a sort of more general design question, which Adam, as you pointed out, was advocating for, right? Is unfairness permissible in league play if it's justified in terms of the amount of fun we expect it'll produce and it fits the flavor well enough? And I think there's some interesting design space that we could explore there. For example, if we ever had a Survivor themed league where you could get voted out, that's one of the ways you could get eliminated is sort of being voted out. That would appeal to a certain kind of player. It might not appeal to a good number, but I think it's worth thinking about these things in the abstract because it does open up new design space, gives us the possibility for, pleasing different sectors of our player base which might be underserviced.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going
All
to,
right.
yeah, I was going to draw a line under there, but then I sort of started thinking about other mechanics that kind of got shelved, right? So we had an area control map mechanic, and it seems like maybe what Adam's done is he's taken that and he's turned it into the current side quest tournament called The Floor, which I'm very interested in. That seems like a way that we could have done the map mechanic this time around if we were just a little more on top of it. But maybe, for those who are fans of this mechanic and who know how long we've been trying as a league committee to get this to work, maybe this is one way forward. I don't know. What do you think, Lotte? Will there ever be a day where the map mechanic gets to shine?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll figure it out at some point. Like we really like spent a decent amount of time on it, and if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, oh, I know a great way to make uh, um, area control league fun, then go for it. Maybe we'll do it for like Edge Fraternities or whatever Universes Beyond Marvel slop is coming out next year. Um, uh, and we'll see. So I think it will like we'll get there once we find like the perfect design. But I think it's quite hard. Like I think that that's one of the things that's quite hard to design well.
Yeah. I mean, we were getting into board game design, I suppose, at that time, away from
Yeah.
card game design. So we have an ambition to do this. So stay tuned if you're interested in that kind of thing. But for now, I think that wraps up our discussion of Tarkir Dragonstorm. It's the end of our allotted time of recording. So, Lotta, I want to thank you very much for coming in to explain and advertise the league mechanics to everybody who's interested in that. Really appreciate your time today and your insight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to the league, and talk to you later on Leagues Ahead or Beyond.
Sounds good. Take it easy, Lotta. Till next time. Bye for now.
Next time, ciao.